Aloha. Yeah, they gave me this to read, but they didn't tell me bring my glasses. So, aloha, it's so good to see the Hawaiians stepping out. Yeah, right in the center. So exciting when you hear that a Hawaiian organization that is traditionally associated with providing services to our people for the effects of the economy, which is so important, suddenly decides maybe we should pay attention to the economy itself that caused the problems. That's exciting. It's exciting. I remember a friend of mine, a week or so ago, who works in the travel industry. He's very important in the travel industry, who I will not name because he doesn't need any more unnecessary pressure from the hedge fund people who own too much of that industry, But he called me up and he said, CNHA just got the contract to market tourists on the mainland. And the first thought that came into my mind was, holy! We found something. It was exciting. And so we started to joke a little bit about ourselves. And he said, I can just see those stretch limousines driving down in front of the Capitol and down Merchant Street. They're driving down there and they're flying little flags. The American flag turned upside down for a change. And I said, yeah, Merchant Street is under stress. Well, I tell you what, folks, they shouldn't be. CNHA just ran one of the largest programs for the federal government in the United States and came out #1. Why are we stressing? These are Hawaiians that know what they're doing, Huli kako. That's what it is. It's huli kako. It's not just one person that made the push. It's many people. And those of you that worked on that, congratulations. Aloha. But also, you were able to build on a foundation that many others put in place for you to build on. And so today we share our aloha with some of those who built this foundation for us, who are no longer with us. And so please, all of us, join us in recognizing those who have come before us. Haunani K. Trask, author, teacher, thousands and thousands of young people in Hawaii know their history because of Haunani K. And I tell you what, you don't want to be on the wrong side talking to Haunani K. I know. I know. Haunani K. Trask, aloha. Oz, stand up. Oz, stand up. Kamehameha Schools trustee, Office of Hawaiian Affairs trustee, Oz, stand up. One of his missions in life was to make sure that Hawaiian students on the neighbor islands have the same opportunity that those that live on Oahu has. And that's the reason why we now have campuses on Maui and the Big Island. Oz, stand up. Pono Shim. Pono Shim is the CEO of an economic nonprofit. But see, Pono's real secret was letting us know that aloha is empowerment. It is not weakness. It is what gives us strength. Pono Shim, our aloha. Dickie Wong, the longest serving Senate president in the history of Hawaii, and also a bishop trustee. I tell you, Dickie had a dream, and Dickie's dream was that someday there would be a second city in Kapolei. And the part of that dream was that 1/3 of the houses built with the state's help would go to Native Hawaiians in the Hawaiian Homes program. Aloha, Dickie. Colette Machado. Colette Machado. Oh, man. All of us remember Colette. I remember Colette when she was doing huli before we knew what huli meant. You know, this was Colette Machado. If there was somebody who was an advocate for her people, this is Colette. And not only was she chairman of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, she actually was a trustee that understood what the Office of Hawaiian Affairs was for. It was for us to express our own course in life, and she always stood for that. Our aloha to Colette. Rockne Freitas. Hey, well, if you have any sense at all, you don't want to get into an argument with Rockne. You know, Rockne was the first Native Hawaiian NFL All-Pro athlete. And he went from being an athlete to become chancellor of the community college in Hilo, to become the first Native Hawaiian chancellor of West Oahu campus. He became an educator. He taught young Hawaiians that we too can be Kuhio Lewises. You know, we too can stand up and grab something out there. Rockne Freitas. And they have all came together to build what we are celebrating today, which is our lahui. So with your indulgence, may I ask that we all quietly bow our heads and pause for a short moment of silence, showing our aloha to these who gave so much to us. Thank you. Thank you. My father said if you stay too long with your head bowed, you know, you're talking to yourself. So here we are. I got to tell you, though, since I was up here, they said that I have the privilege of introducing the next real speaker, you know. And so I thought about that. And, you know, here's the thing about introductions. You know, usually it's a long liturgy of somebody did this or did that, right? And, you know, for our next speaker, if you want to know all of that, just Google Wikipedia, you know? And years ago, when I came back from the mainland from college, and when I thought I knew everything, I ran into this lady, Frenchie DeSoto, on the Waihe'e coast, you know? And we were talking about laying the foundation, you know? I ran into this lady, Frenchie DeSoto, on the Waihe'e coast, and I started telling her, oh, why I'm so smart, you know? And she told me, hey, boy, I don't care what's in the head. I like to know what's in your heart. Actually, a little lower than that, what's in your belly, in the na'au. You know, so I thought that maybe that's what's important when people talk to us. What's in their na'au? You know, and recently, I was in a meeting with another friend of mine, and who happened not to be Native Hawaiian, but who is very aloha-oriented. And he was saying, you know, I've been all over the country, and one thing I know is that when you ask people anywhere else in America, where's home? Where is your home? They don't know. They can tell you where they live. They can tell you even where they're born, but they don't know where they call home. And yet, when you see somebody from Hawaii, and you say, where's home? Hawaii, Honolulu, Kaneohe, wherever, you know? And this phenomenon, we have all experienced. A couple of years ago, I was in Seattle. in the store there, Nordstrom's, and shopping, and this young family, Hawaiian family came up to me, father, mother, and 3 kids. You know, and they're from Hawaii, and the father walks up and he says, "Are you John Waihe'e?" "Yeah, yeah." "Oh, hi, we from," you know, like that. And the little boy, he looks at me and he said, "We are Hawaiian." You know? And I got to tell you something. If you want to know how to bring tears into an old man's eyes, that's doing it. And the little girl went up and said, "Ke ahi mauna," to me, right? And I said, "Yeah, that's another haunani. That's another Colette." You know, and then she swished around and grabbed her father's legs. And I asked them, I said, "Well, where are you from?" "Oh," she said, "Well, we just went home, you know, a few months ago. I took my kids home." I said, "Where?" "Kiukaha." I said, "Kiukaha." And I thought to myself, these children were born here, but their home is Kiukaha. You see? That's the magic. Our kupuna taught us that we don't own Hawaii. We don't own Hawaii. Our kupuna taught us that Hawaii owns us. And it doesn't matter whether you came 1,000 years in canoe, your ancestors, or whether you came on a boat full of laborers, or whether you flew in on a jet plane yesterday. If you let it happen, Hawaii would change you. See? Aloha ku'ahome. Aloha aina. Aina aloha. Hawaii is our home. When we appreciate Hawaii, it loves us back. You see, a few years ago, many years ago actually, when I was just beginning in office, one of our challenges was to implement Hawaiian immersion schools across the state. And while everybody was supportive in theory, the Department of Education wasn't exactly running to have these schools in their school districts. And a young representative who was just in his 2nd year of service came up to see me. And he says, "I want the first immersion school in Pearl City, in my district, because I want the children of my district to know their history." And just so you know, it wasn't only about Hawaiian children. A few years later, he was up in my office again. "We need a performing arts center in Pearl City." Why? Because we have a band composed of people who are being nationally recognized. And he showed me a clip of this band, and when they finished playing, I don't know, somewhere on the mainland, they all went like this, you know? And I said, "Okay, let's go move this forward." And we pulled it out of the Department of Education. That's another story. And we got the thing built. And later on, when he became governor of the state of Hawaii, he started a program to make sure that the young children in Hawaii could graduate from college the same time that they got their school degrees. But more importantly, whatever else you may think about him, the key word is huli kako. Because were it not for his administration, the pivot would not have been made so that CNHA could get the contract that they are now fighting for. You see, somebody had to stand up. Somebody had to stand up and begin that pivot. They begin to know that Hawaii is not just a pleasant destination. It is our home. That our culture, no, let me correct that. That our cultures are not mere props to be carried out and dangled when convenient. That our people are not pawns to be utilized in a money game, They are our families. You see, this is the huli, the beginning of where we are. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to join me in sharing our aloha with a kekeokaina, the boy from Pearl City, our Governor, David Ige. Thank you.